Good morning for Telesur. I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin in Gaza, where violence between Israel and Hamas renewed over the weekend as Israeli strikes killed at least 16 people in Gaza on Sunday. According to the Ministry of Health in Palestine, the victims included a mother and her 3 children who died inside their home. Earlier on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated that airstrikes would continue and warned Palestinians to evacuate areas occupied by Hamas. According to Palestinian health officials, over 2,100 people have been killed in Gaza since the offensive began. Over 80% of them were civilians. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says he plans to present a diplomatic and pacific proposal for the end of the aggression in the Gaza Strip. Extremist fighters from the Islamic State, also known as ISIS, seized a key military base in northern Syria on Sunday, capturing the last stronghold in Raqqa from government forces. It comes after days of fighting for control of the strategic location. The military facility at Tabqa is located some 40 kilometers or 25 miles east of the city of Raqqa. It was the Syrian army's last foothold in an area controlled by ISIS. The so-called Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says fierce clashes erupted between IS fighters and government forces within the airbase. Earlier on Sunday, the Syrian Air Force had bombed areas around the base. Syria has been gripped by deadly violence since March 2011. According to the UN, over 190,000 people have been killed and millions displaced due to the violence fueled by the Western-backed militants. U.S. President Barack Obama will send 3 White House officials to Ferguson, Missouri Monday to attend the funeral of slain teenager Michael Brown. Broderick Johnson, chairman of the My Brother's Keeper task force, will lead the 3-member delegation. According to the White House website, My Brother's Keeper is a White House initiative to address persistent opportunity gaps faced by boys and young men of color and to ensure that all young people can reach their full potential. The funeral will take place Monday morning at Friendly Temple Missionary Church in St. Louis. Minister and civil rights activist Reverend Al Sharpton is also expected to attend.
To have it right in the realms of where they happen. You want to take it out of the situation. This kind of like in a neutral zone where people can come from it.
On Sunday, Ukraine celebrated its 23rd anniversary of independence from the Soviet Union. The federalist groups of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic marched through the streets with around 40 captured Ukrainian soldiers. During the so-called anti-Independence Day parade, separatist supporters shouted fascists and murderers at the Ukrainian troops. On Saturday, Ukrainian troops bombarded Donetsk with heavy artillery fire, destroying residential areas and killing at least 2 civilians. On Sunday, 5 civilians were killed in a church during battles between Ukrainian troops and rebel forces. Part of Bolivia's new economic model includes a number of social cash transfers funded by the country's nationalized gas reserves. Those transfers seek to eliminate extreme poverty in the country. Called the Dignity Program, it aims to help Bolivia's elderly, a vulnerable segment of the population, who now benefit from the monthly cash transfers. With more, here's our correspondent David Daughtry.
Elderly Bolivians can apply to receive Dignity Voucher social transfers to help them make ends meet. The monthly payment of 250 Bolivianos, roughly $36 is one of a number of bonos or social cash transfers offered by the Bolivian government seeking to cut back on extreme poverty.
The day we receive the payments really helps a lot in covering our expenses, at least with medicine and food, the essentials.
The various social transfer programs are funded by Bolivia's nationalized natural gas reserves and are an important component of the country's new economic model.
The model has to resolve a heritage that we have from the neoliberalism model, which is the poverty and the exclusion and the inequalities that we had. So in order to do that, we have instruments as these social transfers we have many social transfers that not only they look for a new social indicator to improve social indicators, but also to make the redistribution of income among people in order to increase the internal demand, in order to better lives for the Bolivian people.
The Bolivian Congress recently approved an end-of-the-year bonus of 200 Bolivianos for recipients of the Dignity Program. Reporting from La Paz, this is David Doherty with Telesur.
And thanks to David. On Monday, the Gulf of Finesca Summit will begin in Managua City, Nicaragua. The presidents of El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Honduras are expected to participate. The summit will aim at generating mechanisms in order to overcome security problems and the bay's management. Nicaraguan officials hope to implement an agreement from 2007 to make the Gulf an area of peace, sustainable development, and security. That could make the Gulf of Finesca an example of international integration in Latin America. The Italian Navy reported Sunday that Italy's Maritime Search and Rescue Service rescued 3,500 migrants and found 19 bodies in the Mediterranean over the weekend. The Italian Navy has been busy since last fall when it launched a special search and rescue operation called Mare Nostrum, Latin for Our Sea. The mission began after 2 shipwrecks off Italy's coast killed more than 300 migrants last year and prompted the country to take more proactive measures to save the lives of migrants traveling from northern Africa. Italy has repeatedly called on the European Union and the United Nations for more help with the migration crisis, saying the mission will fail without more international help. Around 172 people were injured following a 6.0 earthquake that struck California's Napa Valley on Sunday morning. The earthquake damaged homes and caused power outages in the town of Napa. According to a statement released by the Napa City Council, at least 3 historic sites are among the damaged buildings. California Governor Jerry Brown says emergency resources from other parts of the state are being diverted to affected areas. It marked the largest earthquake to hit Napa Valley in 25 years. Health authorities from the Democratic Republic of Congo report that 2 people have died from Ebola. It marks the first case of the virus outside of West Africa since the outbreak began earlier this year. On Sunday, Health Minister Felix Kabange Numbi reported that 2 of 8 fever victims had tested positive for Ebola. It has not yet been confirmed whether the cases in the DRC are directly linked to the outbreak that hit Western Africa. Several individuals have died in the past month after contracting feverish symptoms in the Equator region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So far, over 1,400 people, including 100 health workers, have died from the virus. And on a lighter note, thousands of visitors flooded the streets of Notting Hill in central London on Sunday to participate in a carnival celebrating Afro-Caribbean rhythms and colorful disguises. This year, the festival celebrates the 50th anniversary of the steel pan. More than 40 Caribbean music ensembles will perform on Monday, and over 1 million people are expected to attend the festival. The city mayor, Boris Johnson, says that the carnival is a wonderful celebration and highlights what the Caribbean community does for London. The Notting Hill Carnival is celebrating its 48th edition this year. It was created in the 60s by Afro-Caribbean immigrants in London as a response to racism. More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.